What's up, guys? Emperor John Kill 3D Gaming here with another video, and we have a lot of baggage to unload in this video. I've been given a lot of news recently. Surprisingly, people have sent me. I've gotten private Twitter DMs, PlayStation DMs, telling me what's going on to help me cover the corruption behind The Last of Us Part 2, because let's be real with ourselves. That's all that's behind this game, is corruption in the media, corruption with the scores, corruption with biasism, a war between the true fans of the original and these new fans that just are taking everything they're given with a grain of salt and saying, yes, this is 10 out of 10, even though it's stunning and brave, it's agenda driven, but I still like the game because I want to keep my free spot in these accesses. I want my free copies. I mean, you have Naughty Dog sending people on behalf of them through Sony to strong arm. Call it what it is, say there's no proof. Yeah, there's pretty much evidence out there from Game Vice and Polygon. I mean, it was Game Vice. A lot of people thought it was Polygon, but Game Vice was the one that contacted Polygon, and Polygon put the story out, but we all know they're hard to take seriously. They only put out one article recently that I saw from a YouTuber that I watch called Yellow2 Flash, and since he already covered that, I won't really cover it, but just briefly go over it, saying, is this where we are really? I agree with him. Is this where we are with gaming? We have to worry about a company calling us, or you have to, like, say if I was in a critical position as a reviewer, I'm not going to lie and shill for the company. Hell no. I'm going to tell the game like it is, because I'm going to have people be mindful of their purchases. Nobody wants agenda-filled LGBTQ-related garbage. Inspired garbage. Bringing in Anita Sarkeesian was the worst thing Neil Druckmann could have did, and Neil Druckmann, all he does is simp for the game, go on media, social media, and start to call anybody that has critical arguments against it istophobes, homophobes, transphobes. In the words of a wise man, as many of us once heard, it's better to remain silent than to appear a fool, than to open your mouth and confirm it for everyone else, and Neil Druckmann is that fool. He already tanked his own game. Everybody now finding reasons, well, these fake fans are finding reasons to justify Joel's death, which Joel's death, there's nothing justifiable about it. They're trying to justify Abby's body size, which Abby alone is a bad character and unjustifiable for what she has done. But we'll unbag all that in a little bit. Let's just talk about so far in the UK. Explain this to me. Explain this, how this game's 10 out of 10. Perfect game. Game of a generation. But the sales drop with 80% in the UK. And the UK, who's the most, how do I say this? They're the most open to this kind of thing. They're the most open to the narrative and to the agenda that's put into this game. Because it was a few years ago where a trans family was the biggest family in the UK, and they were celebrated for such a thing. But now, a game like The Last of Us Part 2, dropping in sales. The sales are what shows you the truth. The sales are what's going to show you who's correct and who's wrong. Alright? I mean, even though you can already tell that there was a lot of misleading reviews, a lot of negative reviews are also being held back, which ups the score on the Metacritic, by my understanding, and Metacritic is basically the Rotten Tomatoes of gaming. Let's just be real. You can't listen to, once you see Rotten Tomatoes put something at a high score, you got to look at it twice. The same thing with Metacritic. Once you look at something with a very high score, you got to look at it twice. Do some digging and investigating before you assume that this is the correct purchase. Japan is really trying to get rid of this game, by the way. Japan, like, you have the game now ending up in the second-hand bins or pre-owned already, even with the returns on the game being canceled. Refunds have been canceled. That's another sign that people should have taken this seriously, is refunds. You were denied refunds. Like, once you bought the game is only going to do well digitally. Physically, it has dropped off. Digitally is the only thing that will keep it afloat, because digital, you're kind of stuck with it at that point. There's a lot of in-place in place things that prevent you from either returning, or you could be contractually stuck with your purchase. So The Last of Us Part 2 was always going to do well regardless, because of the name, because of the 7-year wait that people had for it. But the media immediately, even if you have some apparently giving the game criticism on everything that is wrong with it, here's the thing. The game does have great presentation, it has good controls, it accessible for anybody. But here's the problem. If your story is a piece of shit, accessibility and controls and gameplay don't hold up, because I don't want to keep playing or slogging through it. If the story doesn't match up to the gameplay and controls, or if two of these things are out of sync, your game has already failed. No matter how much the media and the shills will tell you, you know. And the moment someone tells you, oh, no, you're wrong about the game. Okay, why am I wrong? Well, you're a homophobe. That's why you're wrong. You know, you gotta really look into the game and things like that. Okay. So if you beat the game in full and still don't like it, you're still wrong. I mean, how does that work? I mean, you'll have like, let's say if you're a critical reviewer for any one of these gaming medias, and you give your honest take on the game, saying that, look, maybe this wasn't what I thought, maybe this isn't what I thought, and then you have to have somebody call you to keep you in line, to keep pushing this agenda. Trust me, the second and the third week for this game is going to be expected to dip. There's already reasons out there on why it's dipping, and they're all the wrong reasons. I mean, Polygon put out the top 10 reasons why people are not okay with, why people are hating The Last of Us 2, which is completely wrong. Some of their reasons is that, oh, you guys just don't like strong women or anything like that. No. There is no strong characters in The Last of Us Part 2. There were strong characters in the first game. Here's for example. You forgot the woman that helps you through the first part of the game, called Tess? She didn't look like an overhulking woman, but she was a strong woman at the end of the day. She was a character. And I bet you anything, if Tess had survived the first game, Neil Druckmann would have did her the same way as Joel. There's no justifications that could be done to what happened to Joel's character. I heard a lot of people said they can't even get past the 2-hour mark because of what happened to Joel, because it doesn't add up, doesn't make sense. You basically have to destroy the intelligence of these characters, or you have to basically look at this game as a non-canon what-if story, and which is what I view. Any game that pushes SJWs and LGBTQ related agendas in their game forcefully, I discredit those as non-canon what-if tales. And fine, these fans of this game can have The Last of Us Part 2, because everyone knows that the real Last of Us game is the original and the only one. Fine, they can have their what-if sequel. Okay? But they will always have to live in the shadow, knowing that there is a far superior game. And there's far superior sequels than The Last of Us Part 2. Many examples are put on line, and every day when I log into Twitter, I just see people constantly battling and arguing about The Last of Us Part 2. And every time they start to lose, especially women, which is the weird part, women on Twitter defend this game and get on your ass if you don't support this game, or just tell you where you're wrong. Like, my buddy PlayStation Inquisition got into an argument with somebody on Twitter. I really didn't get into the argument, even though I was a part of the argument. I quickly was able to brush it off and be like, well, give me the reasons why I was wrong. Nope. Couldn't give me the reasons. We were just told to just straight up fuck off if we don't support the game. That's not how you handle things. That is not how to get an intellectual response. So that means, by that logic right there, immediately, if you can't defend this game with an intellectual argument or give us the good reasons that we need, then your game fails. You can't defend the game just based on insults, because that means you automatically lose. But with today's media, you do that, you gain all the support even if you lose the fans' support. And that's not how it should be. The Last of Us Part 2 is full of corruption in the media. It's the biggest divisive game in history, and only true fans of the game know what's good and what is bad, even more so than what the developers thought. Okay? Everybody should have seen the signs from the beginning. The Last of Us Part 2 sequel was unnecessary. It didn't need to happen, and in order for it to happen, it had to destroy everything that came before. There was no hope for this game. Maybe financially, but finances don't always equal good quality content or the game itself. That's all I gotta say right now about The Last of Us Part 2 until more news comes out. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. This is Zipper John Kill 3D Gaming. Be sure to like, subscribe, follow, and I'll be able to catch you all next time.